Lower Manhattan. Apartment 6B. David Greenglass hasn't slept in 3 days. Outside, the city is waking. Delivery trucks rumble down Houston Street. Steam rises from subway grates. The morning shift at the garment factories is starting. Inside, a man is unraveling. David Greenglass sits at his kitchen table. The ashtray in front of him is overflowing. Cigarette butts stacked like fallen soldiers. His hands shake as he lights another one. The match flame dances, goes out. He tries again. The knock came yesterday. 3 FBI agents, dark suits, federal badges. Questions about Los Alamos, about blueprints, about a man he met in Albuquerque 5 years ago. They didn't arrest him. Not yet. They told him to think about his wife, his children, his future. They told him someone had already talked. Now, in the grey light of dawn, Greenglass knows what he has to do. He's about to betray the one man who trusted him, Harry Gold. For 15 years, Gold walked through America's most secret laboratories. Clipboard in hand, security badge pinned to his white coat, smile on his face, ghost in the machine. No one questioned him. No one ever had. Pennsylvania Sugar Company, Jersey City Industrial Labs, DuPont facilities in Wilmington, Manhattan project sites scattered across the desert southwest. He moved through them all like smoke, collecting secrets, memorizing formulas, sketching diagrams in notebooks he kept hidden in his coat pockets. And for 15 years, those secrets flowed east, across the Atlantic, into the hands of Soviet intelligence officers who passed them up the chain to Moscow. But now, that ghost is being hunted. The FBI has been closing in for months, following leads, connecting dots, building a case that stretches from Philadelphia to Los Alamos to the Kremlin. And David Greenglass, sitting in his apartment with 3 days of stubble and a phone number written on a scrap of paper, is the final piece they need. He picks up the phone, dials, Federal Bureau of Investigation, New York Field Office. Greenglass closes his eyes. I need to speak to Special Agent Harrington. Tell him I'm ready to talk. Before this mission vanishes. Subscribe. We're following the trail they tried to bury. May 14th, 1950. 0800 hours. The FBI field office at 201 East 69th Street is a fortress disguised as an office building. Gray stone, narrow windows, American flag hanging limply in the humid morning air. David Greenglass walks through the entrance flanked by 2 agents. His wife Ruth stayed home with their children. She doesn't know he's here, doesn't know what he's about to do. They take him to the 4th floor, down a hallway painted institutional green, past offices where typewriters clatter and phones ring, and men in shirt sleeves study photographs pinned to corkboards. Room 447. No windows, 1 table, 3 chairs, a tape recorder on a metal cart in the corner. Special Agent John Harrington is already waiting. Mid-40s, grey at the temples, 20 years with the Bureau. He's seen hundreds of men sit in that chair. Watch them all make the same calculation. Save yourself or go down with everyone else. Greenglass sits. The chair scrapes against the linoleum floor. Harrington doesn't speak immediately. He opens a folder, pulls out photographs, lays them on the table one by one. Julius Rosenberg, arrested 2 weeks ago. Ethel Rosenberg, arrested last week. Klaus Fuchs, in British custody, already confessed. Morton Sobel, under surveillance. The faces of a spy ring in collapse. David, Harrington says quietly, your sister's already under arrest. Your brother-in-law's in custody. We know about Los Alamos. We know about the blueprints you sketched. We know about the high-explosive lens design. Greenglass stares at the photographs. His sister Ethel looks tired in her mugshot. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair pulled back. She's 34 years old. Mother of 2 young boys. We know someone came to Albuquerque in June of 45 to collect those blueprints from you. Someone you handed them to in your apartment on High Street. Harrington leans forward. His voice is calm, almost fatherly. Right now, you're looking at life in prison. Maybe worse. The Rosenbergs are probably going to the chair. You could join them. Or, he pauses, lets the word hang in the air. Or you can help us. Tell us everything. Give us names. And we can talk to the U.S. Attorney about leniency. Greenglass's fingers drum against the metal table. Tap, tap, tap. Harrington knows this rhythm. It's the sound of a man's conscience collapsing. Think about Ruth, Harrington says. Think about your children. Who's going to take care of them if you're in prison? Silence. Then, so quietly it's almost a whisper, his name is Harry Gold. Harrington doesn't move, doesn't show the surge of adrenaline that just shot through his chest. Tell me about Harry Gold. And David Greenglass begins to talk. But how did we get here? How does a man spend 15 years betraying his country without anyone noticing? The answer begins in Philadelphia, 1935, the 6th year of the Great Depression. The city is on its knees, factories shuttered, banks failed, unemployment at 25%. Men sell apples on street corners for a nickel. Families live in Hoovervilles along the Schuylkill River. Children stand in bread lines. Harry Gold is 30 years old. He lives alone in a one-bedroom apartment at 6823 Kindred Street in South Philadelphia. Narrow row house, cracked plaster walls, radiator that clanks in winter, shared bathroom down the hall. He works at the Pennsylvania Sugar Company. Industrial chemist, $12 a week, long hours, repetitive work, testing samples, recording data, writing reports that no one reads. He's good at his job, reliable, precise, but invisible. No wife, no children, no close friends. His parents are Ukrainian immigrants who speak broken English and work 16-hour days at a grocery store in the Jewish quarter. His brother Samuel works at a hat factory. His sister lives in New York. They see each other at holidays, exchange pleasantries, then return to their separate lives. Harry Gold is lonely. Not the kind of loneliness that drives a man to bars or dance halls. The deeper kind. The kind that makes you wonder if you matter at all. He fills the void with reading. Politics, philosophy, economics. In 1933, he joined a socialist reading group that meets above a bookstore on South Street. 20 people crowded into a room that smells like coffee and cigarettes and old paper. They discuss Marx and Engels, debate capitalism versus communism, dream of a more just world. That's where Tom Black finds him. Black is different from the others. Older, mid-40s, well-dressed. He speaks about the Soviet Union with the certainty of someone who's been there, seen it, lived it. He describes factories where workers own the means of production, universities where education is free, healthcare available to everyone, a society built on equality instead of exploitation. It sounds like paradise. After one meeting, Black approaches Gold. You're a chemist, aren't you? Gold nods. Industrial chemistry, Pennsylvania Sugar Company. Good work? Steady work. That's about all you can ask these days. Black smiles. Harry, can I buy you a cup of coffee? They walk to a diner on Passyunk Avenue. Sit in a corner booth away from the windows. Black orders coffee and pie. Gold, just coffee. Harry, you're talented. I can see that. But this country doesn't appreciate what you can do. Gold shrugs. It's a job. It could be more than a job. It could be a mission. Gold looks up. What do you mean? Black leans forward, lowers his voice. The Soviet Union is building something unprecedented, a worker's paradise. But they're starting from scratch. They need technical knowledge, industrial processes, chemical formulas, things that American corporations hoard like dragons sitting on gold. I don't understand what you're asking. I'm asking if you'd be willing to share your knowledge, help Soviet scientists. Nothing illegal, just information exchange between colleagues. Gold's coffee sits untouched. You want me to spy? I want you to help build a better world. The information, you have access to industrial chemistry processes, manufacturing techniques. It belongs to all workers, not just capitalist owners. Sharing it isn't betrayal, it's solidarity. It sounds reasonable, noble even. What Harry Gold doesn't understand yet is that he's being recruited. Tom Black isn't just a fellow socialist, he's an NKVD officer, Soviet military intelligence. And this conversation isn't random. Black has been watching Gold for months, studying him, identifying his vulnerabilities, loneliness, desire for purpose, belief in a cause larger than himself. Classic recruitment targets. Think about it, Black says. He slides a piece of paper across the table, a phone number. Call me if you're interested. Gold takes the paper, puts it in his pocket. That night, lying in his narrow bed listening to his neighbors argue through the thin walls, he thinks about Black's offer. Help build a better world. Matter to someone. Be part of something important. 3 days later, he makes the call. The training is subtle, gradual, designed not to feel like espionage. Black starts with academic papers. There's a chemical engineering journal article on catalytic processes. Can you get me a copy? Gold borrows it from the company library, makes a photocopy, hands it over at their next meeting. Perfect. This is exactly what Soviet scientists need. Then, there's a patent application for a new industrial solvent. Can you access the filing? Gold goes to the patent office, requests the document. It's public record. Nothing illegal. He hands it to Black. You're doing important work, Harry. Real solidarity between workers of the world. Over 6 months, the requests slowly escalate. Can you get me your company's formula for sugar refining? There's a lab in Jersey City working on synthetic rubber. Can you find out what process they're using? DuPont has a new chemical plant in Wilmington. Any way you could visit? Take notes? Each request pushes the boundary a little further, from public information to proprietary secrets, from borrowing documents to memorizing formulas, from passive observation to active espionage, and each time, Black provides justification. This knowledge belongs to all humanity. You're preventing capitalist monopolies. The Soviet Union needs this to defend itself against fascism. By 1937, Harry Gold is a fully operational intelligence asset. Black teaches him tradecraft, how to spot surveillance, how to memorize information without taking notes, how to communicate through signals. Never write anything down during collection. Observe, remember, reconstruct later from memory. Never meet in the same place twice. Alternate locations. Always have a plausible reason for being there. If you think you're being followed, abort, go home. We'll make contact later. Never use your real name. Never mention mine. We're ghosts. Gold absorbs it all. He has a good memory, an engineer's mind for detail, and a chemist's precision. He begins infiltrating facilities. The technique is simple. Dress professionally. Carry a clipboard. Look like you belong. Security guards wave him through. Receptionists smile and point him toward the labs. Scientists assume he's a colleague from another department. He walks through facilities collecting information, reading documents left on desks, studying equipment, asking casual questions that reveal proprietary processes. Then he leaves, takes the train home, and that night, in his apartment, he reconstructs everything from memory, writes it in detailed notes, diagrams, formulas. The next time he meets Black in a park or a diner or on a subway platform, he hands over the notebook. Black never says thank you, just nods, takes the notebook, and the information begins its journey east, first to the Soviet consulate in New York, then to a diplomatic pouch, then to Moscow Center, then to Soviet research facilities where scientists and engineers use American industrial secrets to build their own capabilities. Harry Gold is helping the Soviet Union close the technology gap, and he believes he's doing the right thing. July 1940. Tom Black disappears. Gold arrives at their scheduled meeting spot, the bench in Prospect Park in Brooklyn, and waits for an hour. Black doesn't show. Gold returns the following week, same time, same place, nothing. 3 weeks later, Gold receives a phone call at work, a man's voice, accented, Russian. Meet me at the carousel, today, 1800 hours. The line goes dead. Gold's hands are shaking when he hangs up the phone. That evening, he takes the subway to Brooklyn, finds the carousel in Prospect Park. It's a warm summer evening, children riding painted horses, parents watching, the calliope music drifting across the grass. A man sits on a bench nearby, late 30s, grey suit, newspaper folded in his lap. Gold sits at the other end of the bench. The man doesn't look at him. You're Harry. Yes. Tom has been recalled. You'll work with me now. Call me John. Gold waits. The situation in Europe has changed. War is coming. Your work is more important than ever. What do you need? John hands him a newspaper. Inside is a list of facilities, defense contractors, chemical plants. munitions factories. We need information on American war production, aviation fuel formulations, explosive compounds, anything related to military applications. Gold's stomach tightens. That's different. That's military intelligence. John's voice is cold, flat. The Nazis are on our border. If they invade the Soviet Union, they'll exterminate every communist, every Jew, every person who believes in socialism. Your information could save millions of lives. It's June 1940. France has just fallen. Britain is under siege. The Soviet Union has signed a non-aggression pact with Hitler, but everyone knows it's temporary. Gold thinks about his parents, Ukrainian Jews who fled pogroms, about the newsreels he's seen of Nazi troops marching through Europe. What do you need me to do? And with that question, Harry Gold transitions from industrial spy to military intelligence operative. 1940 to 1944. 4 years of intensive espionage. Gold infiltrates dozens of facilities. Defense plants, chemical manufacturers, research laboratories. Anywhere working on classified military projects. His technique is refined now, professional. He creates false identities, fake business cards, forged letters of introduction from non-existent companies. He shows up at facilities claiming to be a chemical consultant, an industrial efficiency expert, a government inspector. And because America is at war, because production is ramping up, because everyone is overworked and stressed, no one checks his credentials too carefully. He walks through plants collecting information, observes processes, asks technical questions disguised as casual conversation. Interesting setup you have here. What concentration are you using for that catalyst? That's a clever solution. How did you solve the temperature stability problem? I'm always interested in process improvements. What's your yield rate? Scientists and engineers are eager to discuss their work, proud of their innovations, happy to explain their solutions to technical problems. They don't realize they're being pumped for intelligence. Gold memorizes everything, returns home, reconstructs it in detailed notes. His meetings with John follow a pattern, always in public, always brief. Gold hands over a package. John takes it. They never speak more than a few words. Next week, same time, different location. The information flows to Moscow, and Soviet war production benefits from American technical innovations. But in 1943, John gives Gold a different assignment. They meet on a subway platform. The express roars past. Under cover of the noise, John speaks directly into Gold's ear. There's a project, something the Americans are building. We don't know what it is yet, but we know it's in New Mexico, Los Alamos. They're building something that could change the war. What do you want me to do? We have someone inside, a machinist. He has access, but he doesn't understand what he's seeing. We need someone to explain the significance, someone with technical knowledge. You want me to go there? Not to the facility, to Albuquerque, to meet him. He'll give you information, you'll bring it to us. John hands Gold a photograph, a young man, dark hair, early 20s. David Greenglass. He's a true believer. His wife recruited him, but he's nervous. You need to reassure him. When? We'll tell you. Be ready to travel on short notice. Gold nods. He doesn't know it yet, but he's just been assigned to one of the most important intelligence operations of the war, the Manhattan Project. America's secret effort to build an atomic bomb. June 2nd, 1945. Harry Gold boards the Santa Fe Chief at Pennsylvania Station in New York. In his pocket, a train ticket to Albuquerque, $50 in cash, and half of a torn Jell-O box top. Raspberry flavor. The journey takes 3 days. Gold rides coach. Watches America roll past the window. Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, Kansas, the flat expanse of the Great Plains. In Colorado, the landscape changes. Mountains, desert, sky so blue it hurts to look at. He arrives in Albuquerque on the evening of June 3rd. The city is small, dusty, military personnel everywhere. The Manhattan Project has transformed this sleepy southwestern town into a military boomtown. Gold checks into the Hilton Hotel downtown. Room 327, pays cash, signs the register as Harry Gold. No fake name this time. John's instructions were clear. Use your real name. If anyone asks, you're a chemical salesman passing through. The next morning, Gold takes a taxi to 209 North High Street, a modest apartment building, stucco walls, flat roof, desert vegetation in the yard. Apartment 4. Gold climbs the stairs, stands outside the door. His heart is pounding. This is different from infiltrating factories. This is direct contact with another agent. If either of them is under surveillance, they're both finished. He knocks twice. Footsteps inside. The door opens a crack. A young man peers out. Dark eyes. Nervous. David Greenglass. Yes? Gold doesn't speak. Just reaches into his pocket and pulls out the torn Jell-O box top. Greenglass stares at it. His face goes pale. He disappears into the apartment. Gold hears voices. Greenglass arguing with someone. A woman's voice. His wife, Ruth. Greenglass returns. He holds the other half of the Jell-O box. They match perfectly. Greenglass opens the door wider. Come in. The apartment is small. 1 bedroom, living room with a couch and a radio. Kitchen visible through a doorway. Ruth Greenglass sits on the couch. Early 20s, dark hair, arms crossed. She looks angry. He's nervous, she says to Gold. He thinks someone's watching him. Gold sits in an armchair, tries to project calm. The security at Los Alamos is tight, he says. But they're looking for German spies, Japanese spies, not Americans. You're safe as long as you're careful. What if someone saw me taking notes? Greenglass asks. Did anyone see you? I don't think so. Then you're fine. The work you're doing is important. You're helping end fascism. You're helping build a better world. It's the same speech Tom Black gave Gold 10 years ago. And it works on Greenglass the same way it worked on Gold. Greenglass reaches under the couch, pulls out a thick envelope, brown paper, sealed with tape. This is everything I could remember. Diagrams of the high explosive lens, notes on the plutonium core assembly, calculations on the compression mechanism. Gold takes the envelope, feels its weight. Inside this package are secrets that could reshape the world. You're doing the right thing, Gold says. But even as he says it, he's not sure he believes it anymore. Gold leaves Albuquerque that afternoon, takes the train north to Denver, then east to Chicago, then back to New York. The entire journey, he keeps the envelope hidden inside his coat, pressed against his chest. He barely sleeps. Every time the train stops, he expects FBI agents to board, but no one comes. He arrives at Pennsylvania Station on June 8th. That evening, he meets John in Central Park. They sit on a bench near the sheep meadow. Gold hands over the envelope. John opens it, studies the contents. His face remains expressionless. But Gold sees his hands tremble slightly. This is good, John says quietly. Very good. He stands, tucks the envelope inside his coat. We'll need you to go back. In a month. Get more. David's nervous. I don't know if he'll do it again. He will. His wife will make sure of it. John walks away, disappears into the evening crowd of New Yorkers enjoying the summer weather. Gold sits alone on the bench. For the first time in 10 years, he feels doubt. What is he really doing? Who is he really helping? But the doubt doesn't last long. The old justifications return, the old arguments. Fighting fascism, building a better world, solidarity between workers. He stands, walks to the subway, returns to Philadelphia, returns to his ordinary life as an invisible chemist in a city that doesn't know what he's done. Inside that envelope are secrets that will allow the Soviet Union to build their own atomic bomb. Within 4 years, they'll detonate it. The nuclear arms race will begin, and Harry Gold will have made it possible. August 29th, 1949, the Soviet Union detonates an atomic bomb at the Semipalatinsk test site in Kazakhstan. The explosion is detected by American reconnaissance aircraft, radioactive debris collected, analyzed. The conclusion is undeniable. The Soviets have the bomb. Years ahead of schedule, American intelligence is stunned. The atomic bomb was supposed to give America strategic superiority for a decade or more. Instead, the advantage lasted just 4 years. How did they do it so fast? President Truman orders an investigation. The FBI, working with Army counterintelligence and the Atomic Energy Commission, begins the largest mole hunt in American history. They start with known communists, party members, people who attended socialist meetings in the 1930s. They interview scientists, engineers, anyone who worked on the Manhattan Project, and they catch a break. Klaus Fuchs, British physicist, worked at Los Alamos during the war, currently employed at the Harwell Nuclear Research Facility in England. British MI5 receives intelligence from decrypted Soviet communications. The Venona Project. American cryptographers have been breaking Soviet codes for years. One decrypted message references a Soviet agent inside the Manhattan Project, codename Charles. MI5 investigates, narrows the suspects, Klaus Fuchs. They arrest him on February 2, 1950. Under interrogation, Fuchs confesses he's been passing atomic secrets to the Soviets since 1942, and he describes his American contact, a man named Raymond, American, mid-40s, round face, glasses, chemical background. The FBI now has a description, but not a name. Special Agent Robert Lamphere, the Bureau's lead Soviet counterintelligence officer, begins cross-referencing known communists in the Philadelphia area, New York area, people with chemical training, people in their 40s. He finds several possibilities. One name keeps appearing, Harry Gold, but they need proof. May 10, 1950. FBI surveillance teams begin watching Harry Gold. They follow him to work at the Pennsylvania Sugar Company. Watch him eat lunch alone in a diner. Follow him home to his apartment. He leads a quiet life. No suspicious contacts, no clandestine meetings, no signs of espionage activity. But Agent Lamphere isn't convinced. He authorizes a parallel investigation. Cross-check Gold's travel records, hotel registrations, train tickets, and he finds something. June 1945. A hotel registration at the Hilton in Albuquerque. Harry Gold, room 327. Lamphere's pulse quickens. Fuchs said his contact Raymond traveled to New Mexico in June 45 to collect information from another source. This is the connection. But they need more. Fuchs's testimony also mentioned the second source, a soldier stationed at Los Alamos, a machinist who had access to classified areas. Army counterintelligence pulls personnel records. Cross-references soldiers stationed at Los Alamos in June 1945 with known communist sympathizers. They find David Greenglass, Army machinist, stationed at Los Alamos from 1944 to 1946, brother-in-law of Julius Rosenberg, known communist organizer. On May 15th, FBI agents arrest Julius Rosenberg. On May 22nd, they bring in David Greenglass for questioning. And Greenglass, terrified of execution, desperate to protect his wife, breaks. He tells them everything. The recruitment, the blueprints, the apartment in Albuquerque, and the courier who came to collect the information. His name is Harry Gold. May 16th, 1950, 0900 hours. Harry Gold is getting ready for work. White shirt, dark tie, slacks. He's making coffee in his small kitchen. The percolator bubbles on the stove. Outside, 3 FBI vehicles park on Kindred Street. 12 agents, led by Special Agent Richard Brennan. They've been planning this arrest for 2 days, reviewing the evidence, preparing the interrogation strategy. Brennan leads the team up the stairs to Gold's apartment. He knocks 3 times. Inside, footsteps. Slow, hesitant. The door opens. Harry Gold stands in the doorway. He's holding a cup of coffee. Steam rises from the mug. He looks exactly like Klaus Fuchs described. Round face, glasses, mid-40s. Harry Gold? Yes. FBI. We need to ask you some questions. For just a moment, something flickers across Gold's face. Recognition. Fear. Then it's gone, replaced by calm. Of course, come in. The apartment is exactly what Brennan expected. Neat. Organized. Books on shelves. Technical journals stacked on a table. Nothing that screams espionage. But Brennan knows better. Gold sits on his couch, sets his coffee down on the table. What is this about? Brennan remains standing, establishing dominance. Mr. Gold, we have information suggesting you've been in contact with individuals connected to Soviet intelligence. I don't know what you're talking about. Were you in Albuquerque in June of 1945? Gold's face doesn't change. but his hand moves to his knee, steadying himself. I travel for work sometimes. Were you at the Hilton Hotel? Room 327? Silence. Did you meet with David Greenglass at his apartment on High Street? Gold picks up his coffee, takes a sip. His hand is shaking slightly. I want a lawyer. You can have one. But Mr. Gold, we have David Greenglass in custody. He's already given a statement. He's identified you. He's described the meeting, the Jell-O box, the documents he handed you. Brennan leans forward. We have Klaus Fuchs. He's described his American contact, Raymond. The description matches you. The timeline matches. The locations match. We have hotel records, train tickets, a paper trail that puts you in New Mexico collecting atomic secrets. Gold sets down his coffee, removes his glasses, cleans them with a handkerchief. It's over. He knows it. 15 years of espionage, hundreds of meetings, thousands of secrets passed to Moscow. All of it collapsed in 1 week. What do you want to know? He asks quietly. And with those 5 words, one of the most damaging Soviet spy networks in American history begins to unravel completely. For 6 hours, Harry Gold confesses. They move him to the FBI field office, put him in an interrogation room. 2 agents take notes. A stenographer records every word. Gold tells them everything. His recruitment by Tom Black in 1935, the industrial espionage throughout the late 1930s, the transition to military intelligence in 1940, the handler known as John, the trips to defense facilities, chemical plants, research laboratories, every dead drop, every meeting, every secret passed to Moscow, and finally, Los Alamos. I met Greenglass twice, June of 45, September of 45. He gave me diagrams, notes, technical specifications of the high explosive lens assembly. What did you do with the information? I gave it to my Soviet contact, John. I don't know his real name. Where did you meet him? Different places, parks, subway platforms. Always public, always brief. Do you know what happened to the information? It went to Moscow, to Soviet scientists working on their own atomic program. The agents exchange glances. Mr. Gold, do you understand what you've done? Gold looks up. His eyes are red. I thought I was helping build a better world. I thought I was preventing war. I thought if both sides had the bomb, there would be balance, peace. You helped the Soviet Union build a weapon that threatens millions of American lives. I know that now. But Brennan isn't done. We need names. Everyone in the network. Every contact. Every courier. I only knew a few names. Give them to us. Gold hesitates. Even now, even caught, even facing decades in prison, the old loyalty holds. If you cooperate, we can talk to the US attorney. But if you, to protect them, you'll go down with everyone else. Gold closes his eyes. Then he gives them the name that will make headlines around the world. Julius Rosenberg. March 6, 1951. Federal Courthouse. Foley Square. Manhattan. United States versus Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. The trial of the century. The courtroom is packed. More than 100 journalists, sketch artists, members of the public who waited in line overnight for seats. Judge Irving Kaufman presides. Stern, no nonsense, the weight of history visible in his expression. The prosecution's case is devastating. David Greenglass testifies first, describes the recruitment, the meetings, the information he passed. Then Harry Gold takes the stand. He's dressed in a plain grey suit, looks smaller than his photographs, older. The prosecutor, Irving Sapol, stands. Mr. Gold, please state your occupation. I was a chemist at the Pennsylvania Sugar Company. And were you also a Soviet agent? Yes. The courtroom murmurs. For how long? 15 years. From 1935 to 1950. During that time, did you pass classified information to Soviet intelligence? Yes. Information related to the atomic bomb? Yes. Sapol holds up a photograph. Do you recognize this man? David Greenglass. Did you meet with him in Albuquerque in June of 1945? Yes. Did he give you classified information related to the Manhattan Project? Yes. Diagrams, technical specifications, Handwritten notes? What did you do with that information? I delivered it to my Soviet contact in New York. And who recruited David Greenglass into Soviet intelligence? Gold pauses. This is the moment. The testimony that will seal the Rosenberg's fate. Julius Rosenberg. The courtroom erupts. Reporters scramble for the exits. Sketch artists capture the scene. Judge Kaufman slams his gavel. The defense attorney, Emanuel Bloch, cross-examines. Mr. Gold, you've confessed to 15 years of espionage. You've admitted betraying your country. Why should this jury believe anything you say? Because it's the truth. You're testifying to save yourself, to reduce your sentence. I'm testifying because what I did was wrong. You're a liar, a traitor, a man who will say anything to avoid execution. Gold looks directly at the jury. Everything I've said is true. I betrayed my country. I gave atomic secrets to the Soviet Union. And Julius Rosenberg was part of that network. I wish none of it were true. But it is. The defense tries to shake him, questions his timeline, his memory, his motives. But Gold doesn't waver. He studied for this testimony, reviewed his confession dozens of times with prosecutors, memorized dates, locations, details, and he has something the defense can't counter. Corroboration. Klaus Fuchs's testimony matches his. David Greenglass's testimony matches his. Hotel records match his. Train tickets match his. The paper trail is undeniable. After 3 days of testimony, Gold steps down from the witness stand. He's escorted back to his cell at the Federal House of Detention. That night, lying on his bunk in the darkness, he thinks about the Rosenbergs, about Ethel, who has 2 young sons, about Julius, who believed he was fighting for justice. He thinks about David Greenglass, who broke to save himself. And he thinks about himself, about 15 years of secrets, about the moment Tom Black approached him in that Philadelphia bookstore, about every choice that led him here. The trial continues for 3 more weeks. On March 29th, the jury delivers its verdict, guilty on all counts. On April 5th, Judge Kaufman delivers the sentences. Julius Rosenberg, death. Ethel Rosenberg, death. David Greenglass, 15 years for cooperation. Harry Gold, 30 years. Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary, Central Pennsylvania. Harry Gold arrives on a grey morning in April 1951. The prison sits on 300 acres of farmland, brick walls, guard towers, concertina wire glinting in the weak sunlight. Gold is processed, fingerprinted, photographed, issued prison clothes. Number 5, 4585. He's assigned to a cell in B block, 8 by 10 feet, narrow bed, metal toilet, small desk bolted to the wall. Through the narrow window, he can see the Pennsylvania countryside, rolling hills, spring arriving, the world continuing without him. For the first few weeks, Gold keeps to himself. He works in the prison laundry, attends meals, returns to his cell. Other inmates know who he is. The atomic spy. The man who gave Russia the bomb. Some respect him. Political prisoners. Communists arrested during the Red Scare. They see him as a comrade who got caught. Others despise him. Patriots, veterans, men who fought in Korea against Soviet-supplied weapons. Gold avoids both groups. But after 6 months, the prison librarian approaches him. You're a chemist, right? Yes, we run a GED program, teaching inmates who didn't finish high school. We could use someone to teach basic science. Gold considers it. I'm not a teacher. You don't have to be. Just help guys understand chemistry, math, the basics. It gives him something to do, something beyond the endless routine of prison. He starts teaching. At first, just 2 or 3 students. Young men who dropped out of school, got in trouble, ended up here. But word spreads. Gold is patient, clear. He explains complex concepts in simple terms. Within a year, he's teaching 20 students. It gives him purpose. The same feeling he had when Tom Black first recruited him. The sense of mattering, of contributing something. But this time, he's actually helping people. The years pass slowly. 1952, 1953, 1954. On June 19th, 1953, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg are executed at Sing Sing. Gold hears about it on the prison radio. Sits in his cell that night staring at the wall. He wonders if it's his fault, if his testimony sealed their fate. The answer is yes. But it's more complicated than that. They were guilty. They did recruit spies. They did pass secrets. But would they have gotten the death penalty without his testimony? He'll never know. May 16th, 1965. 15 years to the day after his arrest. Harry Gold walks out of Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary. He's 60 years old, gray hair, liver spots on his hands, 15 years older than the man who walked in. His brother Samuel is waiting in the parking lot, driving a 10-year-old Chevrolet. They embrace briefly, awkwardly. "How are you, Harry?" "I'm out. That's enough." They drive back to Philadelphia. Samuel has arranged a room for him. A small apartment in Kensington. 1 bedroom, shared bathroom. Not much different from the apartment he had before his arrest. Gold gets a job as a technician at Fitzgerald Mercy Hospital. Blood work, lab tests, the kind of work that doesn't require much interaction. The hospital knows his history, but they hire him anyway. Everyone deserves a second chance. He lives quietly, works 5 days a week, comes home, reads, watches television. He has no friends, no social life. His name is still poison. Occasionally, journalists try to interview him, want to know about the Rosenbergs, about atomic secrets, about what it was like to be a Soviet spy. He declines every request. "I said everything I had to say at the trial." In 1968, the Soviet Union invades Czechoslovakia, crushes the Prague Spring, tanks rolling through the streets of a country trying to liberalize. Gold watches the news coverage, sees the protesters, the students, the workers calling for freedom, and he understands, finally, what he helped build. Not a worker's paradise, a prison. The Soviet Union isn't the future. It's a brutal dictatorship that crushes dissent and imprisons millions. Everything Tom Black told him was a lie. Everything he believed for 15 years was propaganda. He gave away American secrets for nothing. August 28, 1972. Harry Gold is at work when the chest pains begin. Sharp, radiating down his left arm. He sits down, tries to breathe. A nurse finds him slumped over his desk. They call an ambulance, rush him to the emergency room. But it's too late. Massive heart attack. He dies at 4:37 p.m. 67 years old. There's no funeral, no obituary in the major newspapers. Just a small notice in the Philadelphia Inquirer. Harry Gold, former Soviet agent, dead at 67. He's buried in an unmarked grave in a cemetery outside Philadelphia. His brother Samuel is the only mourner. Harry Gold spent 15 years as a Soviet spy, passed countless secrets, helped the Soviet Union build the atomic bomb, changed the balance of power in the world, and he spent another 15 years in prison for it, then 7 years as a ghost, living in obscurity, forgotten by history. Did he have regrets? He never said publicly, but in a letter to his brother, written in 1970, he wrote, "I thought I was building a better world. I was young and foolish. I believed in something that didn't exist. And by the time I understood that, it was too late." The Harry Gold case remains one of the most significant espionage operations in American history. His network passed atomic secrets, military technology, and industrial processes to the Soviet Union for 15 years. The information he collected accelerated the Soviet atomic program by years, maybe decades. It ended American nuclear monopoly, started the arms race, shaped the entire Cold War, and it all started with one lonely chemist in Philadelphia who wanted to matter. That's the lesson of Harry Gold. Espionage isn't always James Bond. It's not glamorous or exciting. Sometimes it's just an ordinary man, making ordinary choices, each one pushing him further down a path he can't return from. Tom Black didn't recruit Gold with threats or money. He recruited him with purpose, made him feel important, made him feel like he was part of something larger than himself. And by the time Gold understood what he'd really done, 15 years had passed. Hundreds of secrets stolen, an entire spy network built, the atomic bomb given to America's greatest enemy. But the FBI was watching. Piece by piece, they built the case. When Klaus Fuchs broke in London, the dominoes started falling. When David Greenglass broke in New York, the network collapsed. And when Harry Gold confessed in Philadelphia, justice was served. The secrets were recovered. The spies were caught. The network was dismantled. It took years, thousands of investigator hours, brilliant counterintelligence work, cryptography breakthroughs, patient surveillance. But American intelligence won. Harry Gold died in obscurity, a footnote in history books. The Rosenbergs became martyrs to some, traitors to others. David Greenglass lived until 2012, changed his name, disappeared into anonymity. But the lesson remains. Espionage is patient work. Counterintelligence is patient work. Soviet intelligence recruited Gold in 1935. American intelligence caught him in 1950. 15 years of damage. But in the end, the truth came out. Justice was served. And the man who walked through America's most secret laboratories for 15 years, clipboard in hand, security badge on his chest, ghost in the machine, ended his life in a prison cell and a forgotten grave. The FBI built their case carefully, methodically, following every lead. When David Greenglass sat in that interrogation room and spoke 4 words, "His name is Harry Gold," it was because American intelligence never stopped looking, never stopped investigating, never stopped believing that the truth would emerge. And it did. Not with shootouts or car chases, but with hotel records and train tickets and half of a torn Jell-O box. That's real intelligence work. That's how America won. Truth mattered then. It matters now. Subscribe before this file disappears.